Joining us now, Virginia U.S. Senior Senator Mark Warner. And as you know, much to the chagrin of many of my Republican friends, we on this show and me personally endorsed Mark Warner for re-election in 2014, although he is a Democrat. And I said at the time that the GOP would take the Senate anyway, and Senator Warner would become the most powerful Democrat in Congress from Virginia. And now he'll be named, or has been named, and will become the vice chairman of the critical Senate Intelligence Committee when the new Senate convenes in January. So, Senator, once again, you make me look like a genius. Thank you.
Lost another umpteen listeners by reiterating those comments. I mean, you know, you're going to soon call the next Pizzagate story is going to be John Fredericks, secret agent for the Democratic National Committee.
That'll be the next fake news story. But look, this is a prestigious opportunity that you've got. I personally am really excited about it. I remember when I was in Georgia, your good friend of mine, Saxby Chambliss, was on the Senate Intel Committee. And when he would meet with me,
he was vice chair at one point too. I saw him a week ago. I mean, this is a very sobering position. I've been, as a normal member of the Senate gets some access to information. A member of the Intel Committee gets greater access. And then, because the Intel Committee is the one committee that's not partisan, the chair and the vice chair are almost co-equals. Mm-hmm. We're part of what's called the so-called Gang of Eight, which are the House members, the House leadership, Senate leadership, and the Intel leaders and ranking members are the 8 members that, get the all of the most critical intel information. So it's something I am. I got a lot more to learn, but it's a great responsibility.
I mean, it is really humbling, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's when they put the special, in effect, bat phone in your house, things are going to be a little different.
It's going to be interesting to see, especially with everything going on right now. And I remember, again, getting back to Senator Chambliss, when he was in that position, he had told me that he was very humbled by it and the immense level of responsibility it carries, especially during this time of turmoil that we have.
And John, we literally, just one quick comment.
Sure.
We celebrate all of the men and women appropriately who protect our country in uniform. We never give the kind of attention and I think respect due to literally thousands of people who work in the intel community, mm-hmm. who also put their lives on the line mm-hmm. in many ways, especially folks who work for CIA and other agencies. Mm-hmm. And the vast majority of these agencies are located in Virginia. So the overwhelming members of the intel community are Virginians. So I've got a home state responsibility as well to make sure we look out for the interests of these brave Americans.
Let's get to the incoming Trump administration. As you know, I was the first guy in America to predict that he was going to win both the nomination and the presidency.
And we all thought you were a little, you were out there. So Godzilla of truth, I don't know. But you were right on this one.
Well, thanks for that. But I'm always right, Mark. So that's the good thing. I got a 97% record, including your reelection. Now, let's get to the incoming Trump administration. He's a businessman, Senator. You're a businessman. All this buzz on Foggy Bottom about this phone call with the president of Taiwan. What was the matter with that?
Well, I'll make 2 comments. First, I remember when I became governor, I'd been in politics, but I'd never been elected to anything. And there are many ways you can run a government like a business, but there are many ways not. I mean, an investment in a kid's preschool doesn't pay an ROI in a reasonable time frame. And I hope he will come in. Mr. Trump's got enormous self-confidence, but I hope he will come in with, again, we said about humility. I hope he will take a little humility in this job and realize it's going to take him a while to figure out how government operates. And, that's just a learning experience, and I think he's putting some good people, some people like question around it. The Taiwan experience, it now appears, it seemed kind of off the cuff in the first reports. It now appears that this may have been an effort to set a tone with China. It has been reported that the president-elect is not getting the daily intel briefs. I wish he was getting those briefs so that if he was going to make this judgment that he was going to take this provocative move, that he'd have all the information. So, I think time will tell whether this was appropriate or not. We've crafted this kind of one China policy that frankly started, I believe, with President Nixon. And I get the fact that people say, well, this is part of the diplomacy kind of, we've got this semi-fiction. I'm not sure this is where I would have started in terms of making a gambit with China that, there's a new sheriff in town, but time will tell.
Senator, why isn't the president-elect, as you said, getting the full intel briefings now?
John, I don't know that. My understanding is that I know he's very busy, but you're offered that. The briefers are there, ready for you every day, and he's chosen not to. My understanding is the vice president has taken these briefs each day. The one thing about the intel world, again, I was on the committee for a year before I understood, and I'm still learning. There's 17 different intel agencies in this country. There's a lot of overlap trying to figure out who does what, and maybe his management style is he doesn't want to get down into the weeds in terms of how all these different organizations operate. But again, he's the president-elect. He can make his own choices. But my strong recommendation would be, knowing what I know every day, having a little flavor of how dangerous this world is, how complicated some of these problems are, I think he would be better served if he was getting these briefs each day.
All right, Senator, we're almost out of time. Final question. You had said earlier in the month that you thought it would be prudent for Secretary of Defense Ash Carter to stay on, Donald Trump naming General Mattis to that post. So obviously after he's confirmed with the Senate, he'll be there. Your thoughts on General Mattis as the new incoming, potentially Secretary DOD?
All right. John, I have a little trepidation about the waiver of the 7 years. This is what Congress set in place, so we make sure we have civilian secretaries of defense. But General Jim Mattis, I've met him. He used to be head of Joint Forces Command. Always was kind of disappointed that we had that command shut down, but I don't think that was his decision. But this is a very, very bright guy. I mean, I would just say to your listeners, some who may love the idea that his nickname is Mad Dog. You meet this general. He is thoughtful. He is a student of history, and when I frankly looked at some of the other names that were in contention, I got to tell you personally, I breathed a sigh of relief because I think General Mattis is. I think he definitely has the right temperament, and I think I would point to evidence of that. It appeared, and I hope that if the generals confirm that the president-elect will listen to him, because I think it was very powerful to me that General Mattis, within the first meeting with the president-elect, made the point that, unusual procedures, torture, really doesn't get us the best information, and that there are better ways to get information out of suspected terrorists. So if he can bring that kind of level of responsibility and thoughtfulness, I think will serve our nation well.
So, Senator, if I can paraphrase what I think I've just heard, is you're concerned about waiving the 7-year rule that basically mandates that.
I'd be concerned whether that had been Clinton or Bush or Obama, because,
Right, because the idea is you don't want the military run by the military. You want a civilian in there. That's the purpose of the law. But it sounds like from what you're saying that if the confirmation vote was held today, it sounds like you would be leaning towards confirmation.
Let's not be making news here, John. I know we're a news show here. I'm going to listen to the testimony carefully. I'm going to follow this very carefully. But I can tell you that on a personal basis, I know General Mattis, and I have a lot of respect for him.
All right. That's going to be the final word that you're going to keep in open mind.
Sure.
All right. Senator, thanks for being with us.
Godzilla, go forward.
Thank you so much, Senator Mark Warner from Virginia, new incoming vice chair of the Senate Intel Committee. I think he was a great choice for that. We're really excited about it. This is a very intelligent guy and really cares about his work. Now, whether or not you agree with him on everything ideologically is, to me, immaterial. I think he is now one of the most powerful Democrats remaining in there. And look, nobody pays any attention to what Chuck Schumer says, right? I mean, come on. The guy never met a TV camera he didn't love. I think Mark Warner is positioned right now to be one of the most impactful U.S. senators on the Democratic side in America. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. I'll be right back.